The smell hits you first. A heavy, suffocating mixture of wood smoke, rotting fish, and unwashed bodies. You open your eyes to a blinding Mediterranean sun lying on the dusty cobblestones of the Subura, Rome's most notorious slum. People in rough woolen tunics step over you, shouting in a rapid, rhythmic language you barely recognize. You check your pockets in a panic. Wallet, keys, and your phone. You press the power button, expecting nothing. The screen flickers to life. Strangely, the battery is completely full. Even stranger, the signal indicator shows 5 bars of 5G. Panic gives way to desperate curiosity. You open the browser and type 3 words. Translate to Latin. A second later, the screen populates. You type, "Where am I?" And the GPS pin drops precisely in the center of the Italian peninsula, dated firmly in the 1st century AD. You have the entirety of human knowledge sitting in the palm of your hand, connected to a timeline that hasn't happened yet. You are a god with a glowing rectangle. Survival becomes a matter of search queries. You learn to barter your modern jacket for a rough linen tunic, blending in with the plebeians. How to purify water in ancient times keeps you from dying of dysentery. Map of ancient Roman aqueducts guides you to clean public fountains hidden behind crumbling temples. You spend weeks observing the rhythm of the city. You use the translation app to memorize conversational Latin, turning a terrifying displacement into a calculated infiltration. Labor won't secure your future. Knowledge will. You target the wealthy patrician class. Sitting outside a bustling forum, you search for historical records of the current year. You discover that a minor yet wealthy senator named Lucius is about to invest heavily in a grain shipment from Egypt. A shipment that historical records indicate sank off the coast of Crete. You intercept him at the baths, armed with absolute certainty. Using carefully practiced Latin, you warn Lucius of the impending storm. You claim the vision came to you in a dream sent by Neptune. When news arrives 3 weeks later that the fleet was destroyed, but his wealth was saved by pulling out of the deal, Lucius summons you. You are no longer a destitute foreigner. You are now his personal seer, elevated to the comfort of a sprawling villa on the Palatine Hill. With a powerful protector, you begin to alter the fabric of Roman society. You start small. How to build a printing press is too complex to explain without raising suspicion. Instead, you search for Roman concrete improvements and basic steam power concepts. You introduce the wheelbarrow, a deceptively simple tool that Rome never possessed. Overnight, construction projects across Lucius's estates double in efficiency. Your reputation spreads from engineering to miracles. When an outbreak of a mysterious fever strikes the patrician families, you retreat to your quarters and search the symptoms. It's a localized cholera outbreak from a contaminated well. You introduce the concept of boiling water and basic sanitation, framing it as ritual purification to appease the gods. The survival rate skyrockets. The city whispers of the young oracle who commands the spirits of health. Such rapid ascension does not go unnoticed. The whispers inevitably reach the imperial palace. The emperor, paranoid and fiercely ambitious, demands a private audience. You are escorted by the Praetorian Guard through the towering marble halls of the imperial complex. This is the turning point. You can either become a prisoner of the state or the architect of a new empire. You check your phone one last time before stepping into the throne room. The emperor tests you. He demands to know the outcome of a distant rebellion in Britannia, a skirmish that hasn't officially reached Roman ears yet. You pull up the historical Wikipedia page. You detail the exact location of the ambush, the name of the rebel chieftain, and the specific terrain features of the battlefield. When imperial messengers arrive weeks later confirming your exact words, the emperor crowns you his chief strategist. Now backed by the full might of the Roman legions, you revolutionize warfare without inventing a single weapon. You simply pull up satellite topography on Google Earth. You map out perfect supply routes, identify hidden mountain passes, and calculate exact march times. You introduce the concept of semaphore telegraph lines across the empire. vastly accelerating communication. Rome transforms from a brutal conquering force into an omnipresent tactical machine. The borders of the empire expand at an unprecedented rate. Ambush becomes impossible against an army guided by a man with a satellite view of the world. But your true power lies in anticipating the enemy's moves. You search for the historical tactics of the Parthians and the Germanic tribes. You train the legions to counter strategies that the enemy commanders haven't even finalized yet. The known world begins to bow, not to Roman steel, but to modern data. War brings wealth, but you understand that true stability requires an economic overhaul. You introduce the concept of fiat currency and centralized banking centuries ahead of schedule. Searching double-entry bookkeeping and early stock market structures, you establish a trade exchange in the Roman Forum. You create corporations to manage grain distribution and aqueduct maintenance, tying the wealth of the Senate to the prosperity of the plebeians. Rome experiences a golden age of rapid industrialization, yet a constant anxiety hums beneath your success. Your entire empire is built on a small rectangle of glass and silicon. You guard the device with a fanaticism that borders on madness. You commission a master goldsmith to forge an ornate, locked bracer to conceal it on your forearm. You claim it is a divine relic of Apollo. The battery remains inexplicably full, a lingering mystery. But you know that if the device is lost or destroyed, your omniscience vanishes with it. Your unbroken streak of miracles begins to agitate the traditional power structures. The Pontifex Maximus and the College of Pontiffs view you not as a blessing, but as an existential threat to the old gods. Why sacrifice a bull to Jupiter when the Emperor's oracle can predict the rain, cure the sick, and guide the legions with absolute certainty? A quiet, deadly schism forms. You search Roman political assassinations and find a growing web of conspiracy aimed directly at you. The attack comes during the festival of Saturnalia. A trusted servant, bribed by the priests, slips a tasteless poison into your wine, but you had already searched common Roman poisons and their antidotes. Anticipating the move, you had been ingesting trace amounts of charcoal and carrying a potent emetic. You collapse, feigning death, only to rise minutes later in front of the horrified conspirators. To them, you have just conquered death. The failed assassination cements your terrifying legend. The Emperor, fearing your power but desperate to harness it, officially deifies you while you still draw breath. You are given a temple, a cult of followers, and unquestioned authority over the state. You use this absolute power to accelerate your timeline. You introduce the compass, rudimentary optics, and the printing press. Rome skips the Dark Ages entirely, hurtling toward a renaissance fueled by a single search bar. Decades begin to blur. You guide Roman scholars to map the globe, directing their ships across the Atlantic long before Columbus. You introduce the concept of crop rotation and pasteurization. The skyline of Rome changes. Alongside traditional marble columns, you see the first crude smokestacks of early steam engines built from designs you downloaded. The world is morphing into an unrecognizable hybrid of ancient aesthetics and industrial power. Absolute knowledge creates an absolute cage. You find yourself entirely isolated. The people around you aren't peers. They are variables in an equation you've already solved. You know when the Emperor will die. You know which plagues are coming. You read the Wikipedia articles of people you speak with daily, knowing their inevitable tragedies. The magic of human unpredictability has been replaced by the cold certainty of historical data. Then comes the terrifying realization. As Rome's history drastically diverges from the original timeline, the internet connection should theoretically collapse. The future you are querying no longer exists, yet the search results keep updating. They are no longer displaying the history of your original world. The Google search has adapted. It is now predicting the future of this new timeline. You aren't just reading history, you are communicating with a quantum anomaly. You are no longer a modern man trapped in the past. You are the architect of a new Earth. With the device predicting the exact consequences of your actions, you begin to steer humanity away from every catastrophic war, every devastating famine, and every dark age. You sit on a throne of bronze and glass, an immortal curator of human progress, watching as the first steam-powered Roman rockets prepare to breach the atmosphere, 2,000 years ahead of schedule.